business as usual is not a possibility. We are all in this together, and only together we can make a difference, globally and locally. If the pandemic has proven us one thing, it is that only unity and international solidarity will enable us to successfully stop this pandemic. It has shown us once again that we are all interconnected. So therefore, vaccinating the world against COVID-19 should be a top priority and remain so. So we must keep reminding ourselves of the reason for ensuring vaccination of the entire world, because no one is safe until everyone is safe. So what happens here has an impact elsewhere and the other way around. And so we need to make sure that everyone across the world has access to vaccination. It is simply not acceptable that at this point, only 10% of the people in Africa have been fully vaccinated simply because they do not have access to a vaccine. And in low-income countries, it is even less, 5%. So we can and we have to do better. Since the breakout of this pandemic, vaccine equity has been a purpose of fight for by providing real solutions. At first, at a short term, through support to COVAX, and later on, we supported through the sharing of vaccines with other countries. However, we must look beyond charity and seek structural solutions. Donations are still important, but more is required. And that is why I have invested in projects that increase the local productions of vaccines. And I'm particularly proud of these initiatives in South Africa, which is led by the WHO and supported by Belgium and our other European partners, such as France and Germany, whose ambassadors are among us today also here. It should be the aim of this innovative mRNA breakthrough to help meet the current vaccine gap. The success of our global recovery depends to a large measure on our ability to effectively fight the pandemic together. And that is exactly what this project is all about, to bring structural solution to local needs in a worldwide efforts. And let me finish by saying this. This initiative is showing the world how you solve the fight against inequality. Because more than 1 year, I'm a doctor, I'm not a science, I'm a politician, and I'm trying to find a structural solution. And more than 1 year, I only heard what was not possible. And as a Minister of Development Cooperation, I'm very proud to be here and to witness these projects that makes my job unnecessary, because that means they are finding a structural solution that means that they will be self-resilient. And this project is not only a solution for South Africa, but for the whole continent. So thank you very much for that, because you have shown the world how it could be done. You have shown the world how you can win the fight against inequality, and thank you very much for that.
Thank you very much, Minister Miriam Kitty. And our last contribution will come from Dr. Tedros Ghebreyesus, the DG of the World Health Organization. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Master of Ceremony, Minister Fala, my friend, Minister Kittir, Minister Manamela, Professor Villers, Professor Muller, Professor De Oliveira, and I saw Petro, I think, somewhere. Professor Terblanche, and dear colleagues and friends, and of course, ambassadors here present. Good afternoon, and it's an honor to be here. 2 years ago, the world was still coming to grips with the spread of a new coronavirus, WHO did what only WHO can do. We convened hundreds of scientists from around the world to identify the most urgent priorities in research and development. Among them was the development of vaccines. Tomorrow marks the second anniversary of that first meeting convened by WHO. It's incredible to think that within a year of that meeting, the first vaccines were approved. And just 2 years later, more than 10 billion doses have been administered globally. The development and approval of not one, but several vaccines in record time is an extraordinary scientific triumph that sets a new standard. There can be no doubt that vaccines have saved countless lives, are helping to turn the tide on the pandemic. That's why we're meeting in person after a long jail, and are now giving many countries the confidence to relax restrictions. But as you know, this scientific triumph has been marred by vast inequities in access. More than half of the world's population is now fully vaccinated. And yet, 84% of the population of Africa is yet to receive a single dose. Much of this inequity has been driven by the fact that globally, vaccine production is concentrated in a few, mostly high-income countries. One of the most obvious lessons of the pandemic, therefore, is the urgent need to increase local production of vaccines, especially in low and middle-income countries. That's why, in April last year, WHO issued a call for expression of interests for establishing a technology transfer hub for mRNA vaccines. The turnout of applications was high, but South Africa was chosen as a hub for the mRNA because of several reasons. And the hub was established here in South Africa as a partnership between WHO, Afrigen Biologics, the Biologicals and Vaccines Institute of Southern Africa, or BioVac, the Southern African Medical Research Council, the Africa Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, and the Medicines Patent Pool. We very much appreciate the strong support for the hub from Belgium, Canada, the European Union, France, Germany, and Norway. And it's already producing results, with Afrigen's announcement last week that it has produced its own mRNA vaccine based on publicly available information about the composition of an existing vaccine. And when I met Petra this morning, I said, considering all the developments, I said our baby is in good hands, and it will grow stronger. And it's a strategic solution for the problem that we're facing now. As you know, the mRNA technology is not just for COVID. It will be for malaria, TB, HIV, and the rest. It will be a game changer. And we expect this vaccine to be more suited to the context in which it will be used, with fewer storage constraints and at a lower price. The Medicines Patent Pool will manage the intellectual property and, where necessary, issue licenses to manufacturers. Once a vaccine has been successfully developed, other manufacturers from around the world will be able to produce the vaccine for national and regional use. By the way, many of the countries who have to serve as a hub will be now a spoke since South Africa is the hub, then others will be the spoke, and there will be a network of countries and institutions who will work together. We expect clinical trials to start in the fourth quarter of this year, with approval expected in 2024. Spokes in other countries, as I said earlier, receiving the technology should be able to receive approval shortly thereafter. And the spokes are almost in each and every region already. I congratulate Afrigen on this achievement, and WHO looks forward to supporting you as you take this vaccine candidate into clinical trials and beyond. And I congratulate South Africa on its leadership throughout the pandemic in hosting this mRNA technology transfer hub, in chairing the ACT Accelerator Facilitation Council, and in initiating a resolution at the World Trade Organization to temporarily suspend intellectual property rights for COVID-19 products. And President Ramaphosa's leadership was very clear, continentally and also globally, through his leadership in the ACT Accelerator Facilitation Council. Indeed, if the owners of mRNA vaccine technology share them with the hub, we could expedite manufacturing, removing the need for large clinical trials and cutting development and approval time by at least 1 year. Once again, I congratulate all those involved in bringing the mRNA technology transfer hub to this point, and I look forward to its further development. And the reason why South Africa was chosen is not only Afrigen or BioVac, but the presence of this university, Stellenbosch, and also BMRI and SERI, and of course the rest of the ecosystem that can support it. So we believe that this commitment or the capacity which we have in the country will make the project successful. And the only option we have is success, and that's why we have to work hard. All partners that we have met today, and some of them that we will be meeting tomorrow. WHO remains committed to supporting the development of local manufacturing in Africa and around the world to increase regional health security, and as part of our vision for the highest attainable standard of health for all people in all nations. And we had a very good visit today, by the way, with the president. We have seen his commitment. I know he will continue to invest. And we had a very good discussion also with Minister of Health and Minister of Education. We visited, of course, Afrigen, and we visited and met a very vibrant community, Crossroads, and Vaxi Taxi also. The incredible invention and the commitment you see to serve the people, it's very visible. And we are really the first day of the visit. We're really encouraged by all that we have seen. And congratulations, and look forward to working with you even more closely to realize the project. So thank you so much, MC, and back to you.
Thank you very much to all the speakers, and thanks, DG. So we'll now have an opportunity for the questions and answers. We will try and see if we can take 2 rounds. The DG and the minister arrived late last night. So if I still want to work for this government, I will have to make sure that they have some time to rest. So please allow us to take just 2 rounds. We hope that will be enough. So there's a hand here. Please indicate which media house you come from and indicate who the question is for. So let's start with 1, 2, 3, 4.
Thank you. My question is 2 questions. The first is to DG Teta. DG, there's a big push from the EU side as well, working together with the African Union to operationalize the African Medicines Agency. How important is establishing a continental body such as this and mirrored much on the EU's example? How important is that? Is the WHO actively involved in setting up this agency? And why is it necessary for the continent? The second question is for Dr. Pashla, and it is related to the AMA. Africa, Nigeria, I think Kenya, all Ethiopia, all big economies, and I'm going to concentrate South Africa particularly now. You guys played a leading role, but you've not ratified the AMA treaty. Are you supportive of this? Why haven't you ratified it yet? When will you ratify it? Thank you. Sorry, I think you said, sorry, forgive me, Wendell from Reuters. Sorry.
Oh, Wendell from Reuters. Okay, thank you, Wendell.
Gary Cullinan from Health Policy Watch in Geneva. Minister Katia, Belgium is known as a biotech leader, and some Belgian companies are already making mRNA vaccines. So are any of them going to share their know-how, and are you going to try to encourage them to do so? And Dr. Tedros, yesterday the BMJ published a really disturbing article about a company employed by BioNTech actively campaigning against the South African hub. Saying it's unlikely to be successful and it will infringe patents, and instead promoting a fill and finish operation for the Pfizer vaccine, which involves very little empowerment for South Africa. Can you comment on what looks like pharma dirty tricks to undermine the hub? Thank you.
Good afternoon, Dr. Tedros. This question would be for you. What is the WHO position on the pandemic at the moment? Is it too early to say that it could be moved into an epidemic? And dare I say it, is it time to unmask? And then for the South African Minister of Health, I'd like to ask you, so Sinovac has been approved for adult use in South Africa. Is this good news, and could we actually see maybe more people getting vaccinated and trying to bring an end to also some hesitancy and also just opening up for other vaccines? Thank you very much. Oh, sorry, Julie Shire from CGTN, China Global Television. Thank you.
And number 4, and then we'll try and respond and see if this is still up.
Lawal from Channels TV, Lagos, Nigeria. My question is for Dr. Tedros. We have seen along across the countries anti-vax people protesting. Are you not looking at it that the booster shots keep coming? When is the booster shot going to be a final thing that, okay, this is the last booster shot we are going to take for this pandemic? That's the first one. Secondly, most countries are now dropping the use of face masks. What is WHO stand on that? As most African countries look for direction from WHO. Thank you.
All right. We will handle the question by asking either the minister or the DG. They are also accompanied by experts who may know the details of the question. So I'll leave up to the ministers and or the support they have brought for some of the questions. So maybe let's start with Minister Pashla on the question of the treaty, if you would like to do that. And then also the question about the response to the campaign against the hub, if you would like to do that. And then the third question is the Sinovac, and is it good news and is going to assist? And then after that, we'll move to the minister from Belgium. The 1 or 2 questions for her, especially the companies in Belgium that are also in the mRNA, Big Pharma, and what's their views on this work that is being proposed. And then we'll end with Dr. Tedros Ghebreyesus. There are a couple of questions from. So let's start with Minister Park.
Thank you very much, DG, Program Director. We are fully in support of the African Medicines Agency. What is left is really just our processes, because we do have particular lengthy process in terms of approval of treaties. It's got to be processed through our parliamentary process and be approved. So what we will be following up is just to working with colleagues in the our health committee and the presiding officers. We will be following up, but there is no, in principle, hesitation. It's more really operational in terms of making sure that we do sign the treaty on the African Medicines Agency. As you would know that our president has not been only leading in as far as the issue of access to vaccines, but also to diagnostics, to therapeutics. So we can't, look left and turn right. So it's not going to happen. So we're very committed to a continental, Pan-African approach in terms of sharing knowledge, sharing resources and technical know-how. So we will be following up in terms of just making sure that this process is concluded up to our legislative processes. Program Director, I don't know whether you're saying I should also comment on the BioNTech issue. I'm sure the Minister will deal with that.
Yes.
From our side, I think it will really be quite worrying if a company with whom we already have good relations in terms of almost half of our vaccine stock is acquired from BioNTech. So if indeed we could verify that they have a particular view about us also accessing the technology and the know-how, I'm sure between ourselves and our colleagues in ACT Accelerator, we will be able, together with the WHO and Minister, the government of Belgium and other countries, Norway, who we work very closely. I'm sure we will be able to tackle that. We will not actually allow any private company to protect its interests by preventing others from accessing knowledge and know-how. The question of the Sinovac, yes, both Sinovac and recently Sinopharm from China have been approved by SAPRA. This just opens the way for more variety in terms of the number of vaccines which we can use. Hopefully, as you asked, whether there will be more people, hopefully, and more vaccines. But I think one should hasten to say from the government side, the reality, nevertheless, at this stage is that because of the way in which the other two, the J&J and the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccines had already advanced in their approval and trial stages, we committed and signed agreements. And at this stage, we still have sufficient stock for boosters, for new vaccinations. So it will take a while that we will be looking for, if it had come earlier, we would have diversified. As we remember, as I said, we started with AstraZeneca. But at this stage, we are happy to have a widespread of opportunities. I'm sure, as you would know, those who are in the business talk about the supply and demand. So if there are more suppliers, if there are more participants, hopefully as we move forward. I know there was a question which I am happy to leave to Dr. Tedros. about how many more boosters. But as it becomes clear that as the variants multiply, we need more, clearly somewhere down the line, even the stock which we have, once it's running lower, we will be able to then have a better, kind of variety of vaccines which we can access. I think those which could deal with program director will end there, and I'm happy to defer to DG and others to deal with the more difficult ones.
Thanks very much. Thanks very much, Minister Pasha. Minister Pelchan, the issue of sharing with the big pharma.
Thank you for your question. Voilà. Thank you for your question. The position of Belgium is clear. The vaccine should be a public good. And like I said, the discussion of the patent waiver, we are having this more than 2 years now, and we are not a step ahead. The only conclusion that we can say today that everyone is open for dialogue. So, but we are 2 years later, and we all invested public money to develop vaccines. So vaccines should be a public good, but after 2 years in a pandemic, and we are seeing that the discussion of the patent waiver are not moving. So we didn't sit still, and we went searching for another solution. And that doesn't mean that the discussion about the patent waiver has to stop. I think it is something that has to go on. Never waste a good crisis. We have to learn from this. There are things that we didn't know, but there are also a lot of things that we know now. And I think we have to take lessons about it. So we are active in this discussion, but at the same time, as we see that is not progressing, we are searching other solutions. Like I said, we donated 11 million vaccines through COVAX, so that's one vaccine for each Belgian citizens. But like I said, I'm looking for a structural solution. For me, it's a kind of charity. It is a solution on short term, but it's better to do this than nothing. And at the same time, we have other companies like Universal. It's a company in Belgium who is also in contact with Afrigen, and they are working also in Senegal to help the countries with the local production, and they are sharing their know-how and their knowledge to produce local vaccines. And we are also investing with our BIO, our development bank. We have also the GNG, what is produced in South Africa is an investment with our development bank. But if we really want a structural solution, then I think that the thing that we visit today, that's in my eyes, a better solution than the patent waiver, because you make the country self-resilient, and there is a formula, and it is open. And does it mean that there will be no cooperation with the pharma? Yes, we have to work together. It is complementary, and this project shows what has to be done earlier, 2 years ago. But I'm happy that today we can say there is a solution and we are making some progress.
Thank you very much, Minister. DG Dr. Tedros, over to you.
Thank you. These are very important questions, maybe starting from Africa Medicines Agency. From the inception of the idea, I was Minister of Foreign Affairs actually at the time. I was very supportive because common platforms or continental institutions are important because there are many shared issues in our continent that has to be addressed through unison. So Africa Medicines Agency is one. And this follows, by the way, the experience from the European Medicines Agency that helped actually in bringing the whole union together, even in reducing the funding or the amount of money they invest in individual approvals, because the common approval cuts, costs at the country level approval that's done. But not only that, when you talk about medicines, you know about counterfeit, forged and poor quality, and each and every country cannot fight this. It's cross-border. So the African Medicines Agency can help fight this also. There are many things that I can outline and its benefits, but that's why WHO has been supporting the establishment of it, not only technically, but we even did something that we do rarely financially. Normally, we give technical support, but to African Medicines Agency, we provided, including financial support, and we helped also in pushing for the ratification. And I believe that this institution will be very, very important for the continent. I remember, and I was telling them a story earlier today, when I proposed Africa CDC in 2013 in Abuja. Some people laughed at me. I had good reason to recommend, but it may not be clear for some people or some countries. But now I see there is a continent-wide support to Africa CDC. But it took many years for many people to understand its benefits. So I see the same thing with Africa Medicines Agency, the same resistance and the same doubts and the same concerns. That I know Africa Medicines Agency will be as beneficial as Africa CDC. So I would like to use this opportunity actually to all countries who haven't ratified to ratify, speed up the establishment, strengthen it, and then it should go up and running to contribute to Africa's well-being and improvement in health conditions. So it's late, to be honest. It should have been done yesterday. And I encourage all countries to ratify and use the Africa Medicines Agency. But not only Africa Medicines Agency, you have Africa CDC, and you have also partnership for vaccine manufacturing in Africa, PMVA. And there is a need also for other continental institutions. So I think we need to identify and establish the continental institutions that can bring us all together, because there are individual issues, but there are also shared issues. The world is now becoming more interdependent, more intertwined. So that's why the continental and global institutions are more important than before. And then on the BMJ article, I would like us to focus on maybe what we're doing in the hub and what also BioNTech and KENUP are doing. To be honest, we need both. So forget about what they have said or they have done, and focus on what do they want to do. They're partnering with countries, I think 3 countries, who would like to start with fill and finish, start production and move on, and have increased the availability of vaccines. Is that bad? It's not, it's good. So they can do that. And then the hub, we're doing the hub. If they could do the technology transfer, the intellectual property, we're pushing for that. It can cut the period we need, as Petra was telling us this morning, and I said it in my speech. So if those companies can give us for this biohub, it can cut the amount of time we need to go to the finish line. Even if they don't, still it can take time, but it will be done. But more importantly, this hub is a strategic investment. strategic investment to boost local production in low and middle income countries. It's not only the South Africa hub, but we have the spokes also in Brazil, in Argentina, Indonesia, and elsewhere, all over, that really going to boost or build local production, meaning it will address the equity issue, meaning it will really strike straight on the monopoly issue, which is causing the supply-demand problems, and then, of course, the equity. So this can also go ahead and should go ahead, and the companies, the BioNTech or others, should support that. Not only COVID, by the way, malaria, HIV, TB, we said this isn't a strategic investment in low and middle income countries. So they can live together. It's not either or, it's both. So whatever extra things they speak, to be honest, it doesn't matter. But they have to really see, I remind all of us that we need both. Okay, they move, fill and finish, and bring some products now, and we vaccinate, good. And then this also investment that will have a serious solution, strategic solution, we should invest in that, yes. So we need both. Why do we even say either or? So my message is, I mean, I read it as you others, whether it's Kenup or BioNTech or whoever, that's what my message is. That two can be done together. And I have seen the strong commitment countries have to start with the fill and finish and work with the BioNTech. Fine, it's not wrong. And then we do the strategic also, which can be done. So it can be done side by side. And I think it's better if we focus on these issues. And what can we get also to, improve health? I mean, that's the main aim, finally. And the contribution of all of us will be very, very important. Then on WHO's position on the pandemic, our expectation is that this pandemic, the acute phase of this pandemic will end this year. Of course, with one condition, meaning the 70% vaccination by mid this year, around June, July. So if that can be done, the acute phase can really end. And that's what we're expecting. It's in our hands. And that's why we were saying it's not a matter of chance, it's a matter of choice. So if the world wants to end it, it has the means to end it. If it wants to continue to be greedy and doesn't want to end it, then it will not end. That's the problem. So we will continue to play hide and seek with this virus, and the virus will have safe haven to, evolve. Then South Africa will not stop detecting. They have incredible system. So no, we are happy you detected. That's transparency. And as soon as the world tried to punish you, we said no. This behavior should be rewarded, not punished. Identify variants, report immediately is a behavior that should be rewarded, not punished. And you have done really well. I think you followed the debate. The whole world, ultimately, slowly but surely, came to your side, saying South Africa has done the right thing and it has to be rewarded, not punished. And those who have done something unnecessary, the travel ban, I think they changed their mind and shifted. Which is really good. So continue to be transparent, and that's what we should encourage others also to do. But what I'm saying is the delay in our actions, or the delay in the 70% vaccination rate, will give the virus a chance. New variants may emerge, and then that's another problem. Then back to another wave. So. I think we have now all the tools at hand. we have to deliver and finish, because the whole world is, to be honest, sick and tired. Then on when do we time to unmask? To be honest, mask, of course, when you're told to do it, you would feel a bit, it's a bit difficult. But I think in the future, it may continue to be a part of our culture. It can prevent also the seasonal ones, you know. So I think doing it, it doesn't hurt. It can only benefit. So maybe doing it a culture may help, and hand hygiene the same, and other things the same. But for unmask, time to unmask, I don't think we need to have a deadline. To be honest, if the even after the acute phase is gone, it's better to be careful. You know, being cautious is really important. What we really missed during the lockdowns and all the serious, very severe measures was we couldn't even come together. We couldn't even say goodbye to when loved ones were departing. And, you know, people cannot go to a stadium and so on to have good time together. So, you know, having a mask and so on, it's individual level, doesn't mean anything if we can do all the social things we want, the gatherings we want, and, you know, working together, coming to office that we want, and so on. Then on boosters, you know, on the anti-vax, of course, there is serious movement. There is misinformation, there is disinformation. And we're working with tech industries to address that. But the social media is really not helping. We were in the, as I said earlier, in the vaxi taxi. Yeah. And we asked them, what, you know, from what you have observed, what are the reasons behind people do not want to be vaccinated? They told us, you know, one is religion and the other one is fear. And mainly is what they pick from the social media. By the way, they told us one very interesting thing also. Some people are afraid of needles, and they're mostly in men. So they don't like needles. So anyway, the reason I'm raising this is we have been discussing this issue also with the president. I think the behavioral inside part of what we do is really weak. We have to really integrate behavioral science into all that we do. You cannot convince people without understanding what's behind, you know, the problem we're facing, mainly the behavioral issues. So we have already started in WHO, and we will build capacity in countries. And I think this is for the long term. There is a need for investment in behavioral science, which is really neglected. So the social, the anthropology, you know, it's just physicians, these, or doctors, then public health, you know, the epidemiology and so on. Then we don't go beyond that. But we need the social scientists, we need the anthropologists, we need the behavioral scientists. And I think that angle is less investment, and we need to have more investment to address. And this anti-vax can be defeated, I think, through that approach. On booster, our focus now is, of course, booster is important, but many countries we are now getting information. More than 70% of deaths are those who have not even vaccinated ones. And most of hospitalizations also the same. So we need to start with vaccinating the unvaccinated rather than boosting the already vaccinated, still missing out on a large population, unvaccinated, who don't want to be vaccinated because of several reasons. And there's some countries who are succeeding now in doing really house-to-house outreach and understanding the reasons, especially the senior citizens and people who have comorbidity and so on, and make sure that they're vaccinated. And when they do that, they see the number of cases and deaths really decoupling. because those who are vulnerable and who have a risk of severe disease and death, if they're vaccinated, I think the first, second rounds for them is more important than booster. Of course, then the booster comes, and the booster will be again for the vulnerable groups. How long does it continue with us? I think it depends on how the virus evolves. So it's very difficult to say. But what we're investing now with the BioHub, if the affordability of the vaccines continues, and then that will be an opportunity actually to boosters or follow-up vaccinations, because the affordability improves and the supply and demand problem is addressed. And that's why we're investing in South Africa as a hub, and also in spokes in many parts, many countries throughout the world. So sorry I took my time to go into some detail, but thank you so much. Just wanted to use the opportunity.
Thank you very much to the responses to the question. I'm happy to take one question, and there's one question from the media, and then I'll have to unfortunately request my counterpart TG to close. Maybe if it's going to be brief, ma'am, let's take you and the lady at the back. I think it's Artie. Please, let's be brief now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Valerie Harsh, Belgian Media. I have a question for Dr. Tedros. If you see now, you look back 2 years of the management of the pandemic, what are your main, if you have 3 regrets in the way it was managed? And one question specific. Do you think lockdown was a mistake? You advocate lockdown for countries like South Africa and Africa. Don't you think it was a mistake when you see the huge economic and social damage that was caused by lockdowns?
Yeah, no, thank you. No, yeah, so maybe I will start from the last one. On lockdowns, I mean, or other measures, there is no like one size fits all approach that we have proposed. We left it up to countries to see their situation and take tailored measures up to them, tailored measures. So should follow their situation. And from country to country, forget about country to country, even in one country, from one province to the other, from one district to the other, there are differences from one county to the other. You cannot have like a blanket coverage of one measure. It varies. So I think even going forward, some places, maybe if a lockdown is necessary based on the situation, maybe some countries may go back to that. That they have to really understand and assess their situation. Lockdowns affect the economy, and it's when it's really a must and you don't have any choices that you use it. It's really unwanted action, to be honest. But you would be forced to take that because you have no other option. Now, with vaccines, with all the tools we have, I don't think anyone is doing it, and I don't expect that lockdowns will happen because we have the tools. We know the virus very well. We know it better, and it's evolving also, and less severity and so on. And we have the tools, the vaccines and so on. So I don't expect, to be honest, lockdowns, even that is not the case throughout the world now. The world is really sick and tired. So glad that we have at least we're removing that one thing. But that's a very last resort that countries use, last, when they have no means. And this is before even the advent of the vaccines. And then on what we can learn, I can take it that way. As a global community, even now we're not prepared. We're not ready for another pandemic. We have learned a lot, relatively better off, but still I would say we're not prepared. And one of the problems from the start was even in high-income countries, the investment in cutting-edge technology, especially in medicine, was very, very high. And the world has really progressed a lot in terms of innovation for high-tech medicine, medical interventions, even robotics, and so on. While investment in very simple public health, ABCs, was really not there. I remember when Ebola, the first 2 years of my term, by the way, as WHO, we were fighting Ebola in DRC. It's North Kivu, for people who know it. It's an unstable area. More than 18 armed groups operate, and we even lost 2 of our colleagues that were killed, and many other damages. But within that environment, we were contact tracing 25,000 people. While in a very high-income country, very developed, they couldn't even do contact tracing of some thousands, meaning the public health was neglected. It's not because they don't have capacity, but the lack of attention. So I think this should be a revival of public health, the simple things that should be done, starting from surveillance, of course, you should start preparedness, the surveillance, early detection, response, and the whole force, the whole army you need for that should be in place. So I think that's one area where I think need some progress. And the second is, we don't have still rule of game or an agreement or treaty, if you like. To govern a country, you need rule of law. You can't govern a country if you don't have a law. And for a shared problem like this common threat, you need to have some rules of the game. Otherwise, it cannot be governed, like the pandemic, which was going out of control, because no country feels obliged, because there is no obligation, because obligation comes from law. There should be do this or don't do this. That's why we're pushing for treaty. Of course, there is IHR, but that's the small part of response, that can be covered through IHR. So I think we need to have a law also that governs, so that we don't have another anarchy, to be honest. And, the world, when there is a common threat, responds in a very predictable way. So people know what to do and what not to do. That's why we're pushing for treaty. And these are the two. Then the third is surveillance. That's why, by the way, we have established now the Berlin Hub. So another hub, we have mRNA hub here, and then Berlin Hub is collaborative intelligence. We mainly depend on a few nodes globally, like maybe government information and so on in terms of surveillance. But we need to bring all institutions together, and there should be collaborative intelligence, and the genomic and so on also will be part of it. And all information should really be taken seriously, and it starts from, by the way, that collaborative intelligence to protect the world. But I don't want to go into details, but that's where one of the weaknesses we have seen, where we should improve. And I can go on and on in other areas, but I think these are the three. Maybe we need to go ahead, we go back and try to learn from the Mekong region. They did really better. Even now they're okay. Because it could be the muscle memory. They had the SARS experience, and they responded quickly. So I hope the world has a muscle memory now, and it will respond in a better way, but still documenting that experience and learning from this, and using that for the future will be very important. I mean, these are the three I can say. But final one story I would like to share with you is on what happened when we first heard. Maybe stories that nobody says, but stories that can inspire, and that inspired me and even gave me energy in the initial stage. The Wuhan municipality posted a report in its website saying there is a new disease. And then our Beijing office detected that and then passed it over to our regional office through that to our headquarters. And the day was December 31, 2019, meaning a New Year Eve. These guys didn't say, okay, it's a New Year Eve, let's go dancing. It can wait. They didn't. They knew it was serious and they were very cautious. They passed it. And then they processed the information on a New Year day. That's January 1, 2020. And then on January 2nd, it was verified, confirmed that this is a new disease. It took them less than 48 hours in the middle of a new year. That's New Year Eve, New Year, and the day after the New Year when many people are already down because of hangover. But that inspired me because they didn't leave it because it's a New Year Eve or it's a New Year. They did their job. Then I said, okay, I have a good team. We can do this together, I think. You know, they're working in good faith, and this pandemic, fighting it is really going to be okay with such kind of a team. But it has been difficult 2 years. All the staff has been affected, and the stress, the pressure you can imagine. But I think we benefited from the 2014 Ebola outbreak that helped us to change some things in WHO. And I can say that during COVID, it was better prepared. And then we have introduced other changes. That's, again, we believe WHO is better prepared. And member states are now agreeing also to strengthen it further. And we hope they will strengthen because it's their institution. And one of them is with me here, Minister Kitter. That's why we came together. But just wanted to share that story, and that we have to be serious about pandemics, even if it's a New Year or New Year Eve. Any event, any signal has to be taken seriously, and that's what we will continue to do. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure you'll agree with me that we can continue for the whole evening on this subject. Let's take 3 messages with ourselves that every dark cloud has a silver lining. And out of this pandemic, let's explore new ways of making sure that low medium income countries can benefit from the technology transfer. And that through this mRNA tech hub, where South Africa, the rest of the continent, and other partners from the rest of the world demonstrate the working together of research institutions, universities, science councils, private sector, Afrigen and BioVac in South Africa is perhaps a new model that should be explored, and that this is done in partnership with a number of partners, EC, World Health Organization, Germany, France, Belgium, Norway, Canada. So all of these are new ways in which we need to look at how we address the challenges of society in the future. So with those 3 concluding messages, I'd like to invite my colleague, Dr. Sandile Buthelezi, to do the vote of thanks. And from my side, thank you again for your cooperation.
Thank you very much, my colleague, Dr. Mjagat, DG for DSI. Just to share with you, Dr. Mjwaha is the most senior DG in government, and he's a Dean of FOSAT. So thanks for all the work you've done, starting from guiding on the preparations for the visit with all your teams, Dr. Mufe, on my side, Dr. Crisp, and all the teams that worked with the Belgian team, and also the team from the WHO, under the leadership of Dr. Owen Kalua. And one thing that came up here is that strong leadership is what is very important as we do the work. And for that, I'd like to thank the leadership of Dr. Tedros at the WHO for all the leaders. He actually led from the front when the whole epidemic started, also working with the different offices. And for us here is our WHO regional office under Dr. Moeti, and then our local office under Dr. Owen Kalua. As a country, we're one of the major beneficiaries in terms of the support, getting the teams to support us on the ground. Up to date, we still have teams from WHO that are supporting us. But more importantly, for driving this initiative, and thank you, Dr. Tedros, for showing confidence in our country, in our capabilities, in our academic and scientific expertise, and we really appreciate that. Also on the leadership, I'd like to thank our political leadership present here today, Dr. Joe Pasha, my boss, and my other boss here, Deputy Minister Manamela. South African government displayed a lot of leadership. From the president to the top, from the president going down, we had leadership. We had NCCC every week. We never slept. We had midnight meetings. Actually, as I'm looking at Glenda now, when we're talking about, when my minister mentioned the issue of AstraZeneca, when we got the bad news after that press release on Novavax and the AstraZeneca by the team of Shapir Mati and them, Glenda said, wait, I think there's something we can do. She phoned the former minister, and the same night we met Dr. Stoffels to discuss the program of how to actually save the situation of that AstraZeneca. And I can tell you the team led by Glenda and working with Linda Gale Baker and the other scientists worked on the protocols, we worked on the budgets, and I know when we and the stocks were moved over all to the central point, we were to charter a flight, we were to work with Treasury, get money. It was such a lot of work, but again, every day the president had personal interest, the minister had personal interest, and committees, NCCC, IMC on vaccine led at the center and the nucleus of government, guided, and we knew that we had to be up. So that leadership was very important from the WHO, but from the government here, but also being guided by the Afro regional office. Thank you very much to all the collaboration from the other countries. The minister did mention that we don't work in a vacuum. We are part of a broader ecosystem. And we thank the minister here, the minister from Belgium, but also we have other European countries present here today, the members of the diplomatic corps. We really appreciate all the support that we have been getting as a country in responding, the support and all the work that is there. But of course, at WHO, if we did not have the kind of leadership, academic and scientific leadership in the country, they wouldn't have had the courage to come to us. Let me thank our host here, Professor De Villiers, other professors here, my friend Tulio. He didn't tell me that he was leaving KZN until I met him here, but anyway, he's still part of the team. We had to wake him up at night and sometimes to come and present, because this thing is presenting that this protein spike is like this and then this is like that. So we had said, look, come and tell the president, we're not going to be able to explain this. And I was saying something to my colleague that there's something with politicians and liking to work at night. So some NCCC meetings will meet at 9 o'clock in the evening and would get him up to say, please come and present. They'll come as a team and they'll be able to really narrate. But what's more nice about South African scientists I've enjoyed, when they explain, they make science seem so easy and understandable, and would actually even take them to media briefings so that they are able to talk to the normal people on the ground. I think that is very important. But also as we move on, all the other leadership of the institutions from SERI, from Afrigene, from BioVac, Africa, and all that, we really thank you for all the work. I think this is a start. I think the epidemic has allowed us to unleash our potential, and it actually gave us a bit of energy to move faster than we were moving as we're moving forward. And thank you very much for that. Then coming on to the actual implementation, we thank the leadership in the provinces in terms of the way work that has been done. And we've got our MEC here, Minister Mbombo, in the Western Cape, and I'm sure she's representing her other colleagues. At National, we actually don't have facilities. Facilities are in provinces. So those are the people that do the work. We can just guide in terms of policy. Health is a concurrent competence in South Africa between National and the provinces. And that work is important. We can do and push, but they actually get the staff to do the work and ensure that we move on with all what needs to be done. I cannot thank again once more our team led by Dr. Chris National as a project leader for the vaccination program, being able to, whilst we handle the politics and everything, to deal with all the calls from Tulio, from Glenda, from Professor Terry Blanche and all the other people around to ensure that work goes on as we move ahead. And everyone is very important, and we thank you for making time, but more importantly, members of the media, we know you ask difficult questions. Sometimes we don't respond, but it's very important for accountability that we are able to tell our communities what we are doing, where we're not doing right, and we need to be transparent. We are one very transparent government, and we thank you for being with us, and we still believe that tomorrow will still be part of all the proceedings as the team will be going to the other sides. And thank you very much for everyone for being here and for being part of the visit. Thank you.